Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The old way. Thank you. Item 3 is an invitation for a citizen to schedule time on the commission agenda for an item not listed. Anyone wanting to speak during this agenda item must sign in prior to the start of the meeting. Any requested action items must be scheduled for a future meeting date. Did we have anybody sign in? I see none. Before you, item 4 is approval of the agenda. Are there any changes? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Okay. Motion been made and seconded. Any comments or questions on the agenda? Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 5 are the consent agenda items. We have a approval of the minutes with documents, approval of travel requests with documents, approval of personnel action notices with documents, approval of the cellular authorizations, approval of the human services report, and that's the total list of noted items. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any comments or questions on any of the noted items? Any comments? Hearing none, we will call the roll.
Pierce.
Aye.
Boersma. Aye. Krogman.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Bartley.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 6, under routine business, is approval of the claims. We have the the documents. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any comments on the claims? Any questions or comments on the claims? Hearing none, we will call the roll.
Boersma. Aye. Krogman.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Pierce.
Aye.
Bartley.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item B is our highway or department head reports. We'll start with the highway department. Brian?
Morning.
Warner.
Morning.
Start with our bridges south on 77. They completed bent 3 piling and cap last week, and they're moving the equipment to the south side to commence work on the remaining 2 bents and the bridge abutment on the south side of the larger structure. And like I mentioned, the south structure is done and waiting for approach grading on both structures. Couple other bridges that are being worked on that are not in our jurisdiction but on the DOT's jurisdiction are County Road 26 and 46 that cross over the interstate, like I had been mentioning. Work is being done on both bridges. Looks like 26 is going to be opened up here shortly. 46 they just got started on yesterday. And like I mentioned, the DOT's being administering and paying for those projects. Just so happens to affect our traveling public. A few other things we've had going on. 2020 chip seal commenced on July 30th and was completed on August 5th. The Brookings County chip seal project consisted of 40.1 miles and was completed in roughly 4.5 working days. And if you guys want to take a look at my report here and 5-year plan, if we recall, we had about $860,000 budgeted in my 5-year plan. And adding up all the numbers, including the P-rock, the oil, the delivery of the P-rock, and then the placement of the of the oil and the P-rock, all together, we totaled about $725,946.98. So with that being said, right now we are sitting $134,053.02 under budget. But I still plan on doing the fog seal with an estimate of that being about $106,780 for the oil, which still puts us about $27,275 under budget. So that's the numbers for the chip seal. I do have that in my report too, so I guess, is there any questions on how our chip seal went? I guess one more comment. I know that you had asked at the last meeting how many claims we'd had in previous years, so I had Kristen look that up. We had 5 claims last year, and we've had 2 this year. So,
When do you expect to do the fog sealing?
we're looking at next week. And then thereafter, the stripers can come in at any time. And one other project, I know Leanne and I kind of briefly talked about this before the meeting, and I know Ryan's brought it up several times prior to this meeting, but last week, or about August 3rd, we began adding clay material to County Road 12. I don't know if any of you guys have been out there to see that, but that'd be where that low ton bridge is, just to the west of the Country Club Road. For about 7,540 feet, we added clay material to the edge of the road due to the scouring that had been occurring as the water's been high. And then we topped that with gravel. But as we were watching that there, and now that the water's dropped, although the water's dropped, it's still running along the road ditch. Kind of, I worry if we don't do something such as armoring that particular area, that we're going to lose just what we did. You guys can kind of see my numbers there. I roughly have about, an estimate of 7,500 to 10,000 ton, but we're looking at $30.75 a ton for riprap. And this is due to the underlying issues that are happening with the river in Madera Township.
What's the long-term plan for chip sealing, redoing it, any of that type of stuff? Is that road at all due in the next few years?
It's gonna have to be, just because of, if you drive out there, the road itself is starting to, cave off on the side, and we're gonna have to address it with something, with patching or the like, just to make sure that it's safe to travel. Right now, there's holes where the muskrats had bored into the road and kind of made their homes in there. And we got some work to do on that road yet, but we at least got some shoulders out there.
I guess my thought with that was we're going to be replacing that bridge, in a year, I would hope, start next spring, I would guess. Wouldn't they start
I'm
that?
hoping so, yeah.
Yeah, and would it be prudent for us to maybe look at next year's budget, putting it in while that is closed down? We can get in there and probably have free access without having to close it down and worry about traffic. Can it last that long? I mean, are you okay with what you
I'm
did?
comfortable with it lasting that long. I wanted to bring this up to you guys, not so much as we need to do it right now, but it's something that we need to look at in the future. And as this water's dropping, we're starting to find more and more of these areas. Just like I brought up a couple meetings ago out on our County Road 10 out by 81, where the state had raised that grade. That had a lot of effect on our road, not the grade raised, but just the water levels. And that's why I bring that up now, just so it isn't a surprise in the future.
As I indicated to you before the meeting, last weekend when I was out at Lake Campbell, I had 2 separate people that approached me about 216 and concerns regarding how steep the ditches are there. And with the water in the ditches, even though there's less water, there's still water in those ditches. If there was an accident and somebody's vehicle flipped in one of those ditches, it's just dangerous. And is there anything we can be doing to help with that, or?
It's this work we did, as this material settles, we're gonna have to keep continually adding. This isn't just a one-time fix here, because we need to even if we did add riprap, we'd still want to add some material to kind of tie back into that.
Should we be putting any safety items where those ditches are so steep?
It'd be in the form of guardrail, and right now, what we have out there wouldn't support it.
But is that something we should be thinking of long-term, or is that not appropriate? Do you think those ditches are any steeper than the typical ditch? They look like it to me.
They
but-
look like
yeah.
it just because they're bare now.
Okay,
You know, when you get the vegetation out there, it doesn't look as steep. But when these roads were built, they were built to standards that were far substandard than they were today. And most of the time, there wasn't plans or anything like that. They just added material and to widen the road out, and the ditches were the thing that kind of got forgotten about. And it's not only in this area. There's a lot of roads out there that have the steep ditches, the straight up and down grades that you mentioned.
well, I just think that is a road that's very well-traveled. And if, as we're looking at the road and the shoulders and the bridge and everything, if there are some safety features that we should be building in on that road due to the traffic it's got, maybe we should think about that too.
The only thing we worry about too is producers carrying stuff too, and large machinery going down there with guardrails all the way down.
That
Is
doesn't
gonna
work.
make so you kinda have to balance that a little bit too. And I'm guessing it fills up with water because they flood every year, and so if we fill the ditches up, that's probably just gonna push water somewhere else too. So,
Well, there's not really so much as defined ditch there in those areas, but it's just the inslope. So, is there any other questions on that? I guess that's all I have.
Thank you, Brian. Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to Sheriff Marty's report.
Thank you.
Okay? We'll go to Vicky's report.
Morning.
Morning.
Just letting you know that today they are having a mobile home sale of one mobile home at 10 o'clock today. And this is one that the gentleman was in China, and we couldn't get a hold of him when we were having the sales before because of non-payment of taxes. And the sheriff's office had been in contact with him now, and he doesn't want the mobile home. So that is being sold today at 10 o'clock. And we have been submitting claims for the COVID for reimbursement at the state. We've gotten about 15 back that shows that they're approved. We haven't gotten any money yet, but we're still in the middle of doing that process. We have to do each claim separately. And so we're doing payroll and we're doing the COVID claim. So at least we're getting a start on that. So we'll keep you informed when we get some money on that. And Jenna has been working at getting the people lined up to work at the poll. She sent out letters. We've been getting some responses back. And also a lot of confusion on the absentees. When they were sent out from the state, there's a place to check if you want all elections or just the primary. And so people are calling to find out if the general will be mailed to them. So we are just telling people to call us if you have any questions, and we can check it out and answer if they will be getting a ballot. Even if they decide they want to go to the polls and vote, we still have to, by law, send that ballot out to them. If they do not want to vote it, that's fine, then they can go to the polls and vote. But it's kind of confusing for a lot of people, and Jenna worked with Michelle, and there's a big public service announcement on our website. Jenna reached out to 211 and also the chamber, and they are putting something in. So we're trying to get the word out there. We have some stand-up things in our office, so when people come in to renew their license and that, it explains everything. So also, it's going to be in the paper. So just to try to get all that information out there. And then we did show, or we got some paperwork from the Department of Revenue that Brookings City TIF 3 and 4 are paid off now, so they will be coming off the books, and we will be able to get that growth. And it will probably be next year, but we have to talk to Jacob on that to find out for sure when the growth will be. And in talking to Jacob, he also said the city has 2 new TIFs, so we're getting rid of 2, but we're getting 2 more in. And you received in your packet the finance officer's report, which includes a quarterly highway transfer of $750,000 that we will be doing, and also for be it noted items, the auditor's account with the treasurer, the payroll and additives total, the highway expenditure report, and the register of deeds statement of fees collected. And with the general fund surplus analysis, we're at 33.63%, which is up compared to the 10-year average. And in just going through all of the revenue and expenses, we're really on target. We are not, I can't see that we're down much on revenue except interest. You know, the revenue has been pretty steady with the weird year we've had, so that is good news for the county anyway. Does anybody have any questions?
Are there any questions for Vicki? Commissioner Pierce?
I was talking with Jenna a little bit about this before the meeting started, but I think I have 2 questions on the election that I think the public's interested in. One is, I've heard on the news media a couple of times that people should check their registration or their voter registration, make sure everything is fine. Do they call your office to do that?
Yes.
And then secondly, how do we have the ability for people that are doing mail-in ballots to track their ballot?
I'll let Jen answer.
Yes, there is a way for people to track their ballot. They would just go to the Secretary of State's website. That website would be www.sdsos.gov. They have just such a great resource on there. They've got, I mean, anything that you need to know is on that website. And there is a way that, yeah, you can look up your registration to see, you know, to look at your registration form to see how you registered, where are you registered at. You can't change anything on there, but you can at least look at it. And then, yes, you can track your ballot. And I'm not sure, they must have a way with the postal office on that. Stacey, you might
And
know
I
more.
think it's kind of mixed in with total vote too, because everybody gets like a scanned barcode that gets associated with their ballot, and that sticker gets put on there. And I think that once they get into total vote, then it kind of populates their system on their website to say, you requested a ballot, it was mailed this day, kind of thing. So I think that's all on that voter information portal, or they call it VIP, and people can log on to that and check everything. And it gives them their sample ballot on that website too. You can log on and it'll give you the sample ballot for your jurisdiction that you're registered in too.
Yeah. But I think those are good questions, and those are questions that I don't think that we always think of just because we've done the process. But if there are those types of questions, just, you know, let me know so that we can do more Q&As and get those to the chamber, because the chamber is going to be, I've been collaborating with them, and they're going to be running their Q&As about every 2 weeks. So we can start that now. So maybe we can do different Q&As, but sometimes when you're so used to doing the process, you don't always think of those types of questions. So it's helpful.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, with calling our office, if anybody can't find it on the website, they can sure call our office. But yes, it is on the website too, so.
Okay. Any other questions for, thank you, Vicki. Richard, do you have a report?
Just had a busy August. We had 7 items on the agenda. In September, we've got 9, so it's been a busy month. So
And we have few
we've got
today.
a few plats today from last month. So
All righty. Misty? Thank you. Dustin? Mike, you're going to be last. You know, I got to shake it up a little bit for you. You left, then you came back, so I moved Dustin up.
Morning. I'll start with our attendance since the last meeting. The archery range, we had 25. The gun range, we had 90 people come in. The archery range was down a little bit just because we had the archery range closed for a couple events. Cartridge collectors, we had them come to town 7th and 8th. They loved the place. They had about 130 people with vendors and attendees come through over the 2 days. They actually booked for next year too, so they're in the books. We had our first basic pistol class over the weekend. We did a Sunday and Monday. Attendance was down a little bit. We only had 2 people. We were hoping for 12. We decided to have it just because we didn't want to cancel it and get people in the routine of if we don't get enough people, we don't want people to think we're just going to cancel everything all the time. Brookings Wildlife Federation, they came in and talked to me, and they're looking at possibly doing a monthly event in the facility. We booked one for September 4th. Attendance for them is usually 20 to 30 people, so we're going to have to put them in the archery range. Outlaw Graphics came in and we installed the new film. We've been talking about it in our board meeting over the Lexan. It's the baffles in between where the shooters stand. It was pricey, but it's gonna prolong the life of that Lexan quite a bit. Train's coming to perform routine maintenance this Thursday, do filters, check on all the units. I need to decide if we're going to keep them for a service provider. I believe that's up in September. We had a PRC Pistol Range Committee meeting last Tuesday. We talked about possibly looking into a Glock program. I need to do a little bit more research, but I think you have to buy 5 guns from them every year. They do, I think, a couple shoots a year, but depending on attendance and how many people would bring in, it might be worth it, so I need to look into that. I also contacted GF&P about a grant. Right now for shooting ranges, they don't have any grant opportunities. He told me to check back in December, and we're going to look at something, possibly doing something in January. He said that's usually when they come out, it's in January. I had a question for you guys. A lady contacted me the other day about possibly hosting her wedding in the facility. I know we don't have a liquor license, but what are kind of the regulations and stuff about if she were to bring in her own alcohol? Nothing at all. Okay, that's where I need to. Yep. Okay, that's
Previous management of that, they tried to do that.
Yep.
And what ended up happening is they ended up parking cars in the city and running
Yep.
out there and doing stuff like that.
Okay.
So it cannot be brought in the facility
Okay.
or it cannot be sold or any of that type of stuff.
I knew it couldn't be sold, but I didn't know if she would want to purchase a keg and bring it in. So it's nothing at all.
It's
Okay.
a alcohol-free facility.
Okay. Perfect.
Some of it's
Sounds good to
simply
me.
because of the gun range.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
that's totally understandable. Yep. Yep.
Guns and alcohol.
Yeah.
Don't ask.
That's all I had for my report. Unless you guys had any questions for me.
Any questions? Amen. Thank you. Mike?
Thank you.
Save the best for last, right?
There you go.
All right.
Good morning. I knew if I waited long enough, you'd let me come up here.
Yeah.
A couple things that are going on I think you should know about. We have the VA numbers are up about 5 to 10%. It's fairly good, steady growth in that area. We will be attending school in Pier from the 24th through the end of that week. The reason that is so important is because our office will be closed and BMU is starting to send out disconnect notices, and they will be disconnecting the first part of next month. Now, that's going to be a big effect upon us because during the winter they have the 2-month leeway period, and so they can be 2 months behind on their utility bills. So what happens if they didn't pay January's, February's, March, they're supposed to pay it. As you know, COVID shutdown came into effect. And so those bills kept growing and growing. And BMU had been trying to make sure that people make partial payments or some of the payments, but I do know some of these bills are over $1,400, which I cannot in a clear conscience send them up to you guys to be paid. I just can't do that. Kind of what I have internally put in there is that we will be limiting them to $600 to $700 at the max, which is more than our normal amount of about $300 to $400. But because of the way things are going right now, that's probably what I would like to do, if with your permission. The rents have not been an issue, or nearly as much of an issue. Those have been pretty much been covered by the other organizations that did get the COVID or the CARES money. But I do know the CARES money is starting to run out, because a lot of that was used towards rents instead of the utilities. But with Eileen and I gone for our training, our phones will probably be quite busy because of the disconnects coming out. We will have, of course, the answering machines, and it does forward to our phone emails, but I will be also working with Stacy and Michelle to make sure that if there's any other questions, that they do know to contact us, and we will be following up on those calls either during breaks or after work hours.
Any questions? Commissioner Pierce?
I am not sure, I don't know. It's on those utility bills. And is it possible at our next meeting that you and maybe Dan could work together to maybe do a little bit of explaining to us what South Dakota statute applies and what our legal obligations are?
The statute is fairly vague. It just says that we would take care of our citizens. But there's really no, because Brookings County is more in line with like Minnehaha and Pennington and some of the other counties that do that. But Kingsbury County doesn't have funds like that. Kingsbury County all relies on churches and civic organizations to provide the funding. In the same way with Watertown, a lot of theirs is done through that. We're one of the other ones that do have poor relief.
I just would like to have, and I don't think in the 5 years I've been on the commission, we've ever had a conversation about exactly what our statutory obligations are under the county poor relief.
But if you read the
Chapter
statute,
of the code.
the statutes, they are very vague. They just say, you'll take care of your people. But we'll get you that and let you see that. Yeah, it's 2813.
And then when you're looking at utilities, do you treat those like you do rent? I'm a little bit more familiar with what you're doing with rent. And if somebody needs to borrow money to make a rent payment, they're supposed to pay it back within a year.
Everything that comes out of our office, there will be a lien placed against the individual or family. If everyone over the 18 in placed against them for any money that comes out of our office, whether it be funerals, our rents, or utilities, those are the only three things that we cover on that. And as far as gasoline vouchers, stuff like that, we send them through usually the Salvation Army, which Marty gets a fair number of requests on that. The other organization, of course, we use would be the My Neighbor program, Salvation Army, the Catholic Church and the Lutheran Church here in town have been very good. Methodist has kind of their own little thing along with the other churches.
And so on rents, it's my understanding, if you borrow for a year, you get a payment during the year and you don't pay that back, you can't get another rent.
Correct.
Is that the same?
We can only assist you one time in a year for rent and one time for utilities in a 12-month period. Not 1 year, but a 12-month period. So if you come in, if an individual comes in today, right, at the end of August, if they come in July of next year, then we will not assist them at that time, even if they have paid it off. Now, if they haven't paid it off, then sometimes it's a little bit more of an issue, but a lot of the people that we're dealing with that are in that position just will not ever seem to get up to it. I mean, we do have a number that do pay us off, don't get me wrong, but most time we won't do it you know, well, we won't do it at all within 12 months. And a lot of them, if we won't do them within 1 or 2 years because of that.
And what do you consider utilities?
Utilities are going to be electric, gas, water, sewer, and garbage. Because BMU is the one that has the water, sewer, and garbage. Because if you don't pay those, you don't get electricity. During part of the year, we have the low-income energy assistance, okay? We can go to them for emergency shutoffs, and they will pay the electric and all the back electric and even the reconnect fees with the electric. We do not do any fees, but even the reconnect fees. Problem is that the people don't have the $200 for the water bill and the sewer and the garbage bill, and that's where we come in on those particular ones. Right now, we are about a quarter of the way into our budget, but I don't know if you know, our budget is $8,000, but if we start getting $1,000 utility bills, you know, I've already seen 2 of them, and they haven't even started the shutoffs yet. So, but that's the reason I want to keep it down to a lower amount.
All right, any other questions? Any other? We're done. Thank you, Mike. We're going to move back to the finance officer's. Item I is an action to approve the third quarter general fund transfer per budget appropriations from the general fund 101-4-911-4294 to highway fund 201-3-371-0000 in the amount of $750. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any comments? I think Vicky's already explained this to us. Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We have no scheduled agenda items, so we're going to move right into regular business. Item 8. Item 8A is an action to approve resolution number 20-46, a plat of Lot 11A, Block 2, Sunset Point Addition, and government lots 3 and 4 of Section 22, Township 112, North, Range 47, west of the 5th Principal Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Is there any report? Richard?
Yeah, this is just a standard plat. They've sold this lot again, or not again. It was platted, unplatted, now they've replatted it and sold it, so.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll call the roll.
Krogman?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 8B is an action to approve resolution number 20-47, a plat of lots 1 through 5 in Block 1 in Paradise Point Addition and Government Lot 2, Section 22, Township 112 North, Range 47 west of the 5th Principal Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Report.
Yes, this is another lot at Lake Hendricks. It was a preliminary plat. They have now sold them, and they do meet our platting requirements for the Lake Park District.
All right. Any questions or comments? Any comments? Hearing none, we'll call the roll.
Jensen?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 8C is an action to approve resolution number 20-48, a plat of Lot 44A of the first edition of Lake Ponset Heights subdivision in Lot 2, Section 5, Township 112 North, Range 52 west of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Report.
Yes, this is a replat of Lot 44. They've moved the pins out to the ordinary high water mark. They're doing this more common for financial purposes, so they have legal deed to the property that they might be building on closer to the water.
All right. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll call the roll.
Pierce?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 8D is an action to approve resolution number 20-49, a plat of Lot 12 of the Ramlow Shores subdivision in Government Lot 4 in Section 21, Township 112 North, Range 47 west of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Report.
Yes, this is another lot on the Ramlow Shores addition on Lake Hendricks. It does meet our 20,000 square foot requirements, and they've been selling platting the lots that they've been sold also on this edition.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Any comments? Hearing none, we'll call the roll.
Boersma?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 8E is a discussion and possible action on Alton Township grant request. Is there a motion to approve? Well, actually, we could have the discussion first if you'd like.
I can move approve for discussion purposes.
Motion for discussion purposes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second's been made. Now, for discussion purposes, Brian, would you give us a report?
And in my staff report,
go.
there was,
Okay.
kind of Brian's report from my staff report that, in looking at this application came in, and they had not reached out to Brian first, and that was part of the directions of the application so Brian could come and see the site first, because if the culverts didn't meet that size requirement, it was stated on there that the county would not give assistance. And the other thing that they're asking is to, raise the grade of that road, I believe, and Brian can maybe get into that. But historically, last year, we did not approve a couple of requests due to the lack of the required size for culverts.
Anything to add to that, Brian?
Yeah, like Stacy mentioned in my report, I went out there and took a look at the site and measured the culverts myself and up and downstream, and neither one of these culverts would meet the 16 square feet in opening requirement, which is required in the application process. And like Stacy mentioned earlier, we had denied a couple of the requests from other townships due to those size requirements. And then I reached out to the applicant, or Tom Davis, who submitted the applicant, and was hoping to meet him out there on site, but he did not have time. So I guess I had not met with any of the township board members on this. I guess I didn't pursue it any farther, other than taking the notes on what I found out there. That's all I got.
Okay. Questions?
I have a question, just because I don't quite understand. So the reason that you're not recommending that we assist is because the culverts are not big enough to pass the amount of water that need to be passed to alleviate the problem? Am I understanding that right?
If Stacy'd bring that up in my report, or maybe bring her report up, I have in there that some of my reasonings, and my concern with this, without some sort of a study that would prove that this would meet a 10-year rain event, I don't know if our money would be well spent, or if it would be in jeopardy of just getting washed out, just like it's happening right now. So as our current application sits, I do not recommend it. Now, if you guys wanted to change that, that's up to you, but where current policies in place, that's what upon my recommendation right now is not to do it, just because we don't know if this work would last in a 10-year event, or if they're going to be right back out there fighting the same issue we're fighting now.
I didn't think, we're cost sharing on the cost of the culverts. And I thought we put that burden of deciding whether a study was needed or not because of the expense on the townships, and that we were letting them make that determination. And I'm okay with saying to the township, the culverts you want to put in aren't big enough, because we're required under our application, you have to have this size opening, and you're too small. But I'm uncomfortable with going back to the township and saying, we aren't going to fund you because we think you should pay for a study and see if this is going to do it. I thought we decided that was their decision to decide that. And I'm okay with saying, by the way, you're required to meet with our highway superintendent in order to have your application approved. I'm good with all of that. I just don't want to go back and say you have to have a study done.
I think at this point, go ahead, Commissioner.
The 16 square feet, Brian's not saying that they need to put a culvert in that size in that area. The culvert that is in place needs to be 16 square feet to qualify for our program, is what Brian's saying.
Okay.
There's a couple other things in here. I think in our application, we had that, Brian encouraged that they purchase culverts through True North. I don't think the pricing on the culvert is correct with what True North's price is. And also in this, application, there's, work to be performed on private property, which I don't think county should be on private property performing work either, so.
And I'm okay with all of that, but I want to encourage our townships to come and use our grant program. And we've got a couple of options today. If there's not an interest in passing it, and I'm not inclined to do that myself because of the problems that we're talking about. I just want to be sure we're sending the right message back out to the township that says, either we table it or we deny it. Those are our two choices. And then communicate with the township, these are the problems with your application. But if what you're saying, Larry, and I guess I did not understand that, is that this culvert is not a big enough culvert that we would deal with in our grant program.
Correct.
Is that a hard and fast line? Is that where we're at on that?
We have been. I know we denied some other.
We
township-
denied some last year based on that size.
It's also state statute,
The stat-
31,
Yeah, the statute is up
14,
here.
27.
And that just says that they're responsible for it. It doesn't say that our grant program can't assist, that we can't choose to help. I'm worried about the townships. And I think where we can give assistance, I don't want us to be technical for our reason of, and I know technical might not be the right word, but I want to help where we can help. I do want to treat all the townships fairly, and I understand that they did not follow the rules for the grant program application.
Commissioner Krugman.
I guess I'll have my comment was, I think this was for, in my opinion, of size culvert that's a responsibility that doesn't need to be bigger, but just needs to be repaired or replaced because it's fallen behind. I wonder, I guess my question would be to Brian, what if they found one that said, okay, this is just too small? We need to enlarge this to a larger culvert. We need a better structure here. And if we need to do that, then I think at that point, there would be a request to have some type of a study to say, okay, if that's the case, and we're going to make this a larger culvert, a box culvert or something, and take it from something small to make it larger that it would qualify, then wouldn't we require some type of a study on that type of thing?
Yeah, similar to what we did last year in Volga Township.
That's what I was thinking. Volga did that, right?
And we assisted them in their application with that study. We paid for, we helped pay for that, and the 404 permit. So any of that permitting, we did split the costs, and I guess I brought it up with our meeting earlier this year when we met with the townships down at the BCOAC, is that I was encouraging them to bring forward applications with studies, so we could plan. The study, it needs to be in place if we're going to increase the size of the culvert, just so we don't get involved in a lawsuit. And that was my encouragement. That way we could help them plan.
Any other comments?
Also, in the future, I know this particular site, it affects 3 downstream landowners. It'd be nice to have at least some documentation from those landowners that they're okay with the project also.
Right.
So at this point in time, can this application be amended or updated by our next meeting to anything that we could accept?
It's too small.
It's just, in my opinion, right now, the culvert opening sizes there, the two culverts that are in place right now equal about just shy of 11 square feet in opening.
I guess my question is if they're asking to raise the road, are they considering a larger culvert? And that would still require a study, so we're talking a study could take how long?
It's, 3 to 4 months sometimes. And then if you look down on the bullet point number 2 there, the application asked to increase the size of the culvert from 24 to 36. And if you add those two 36s together, we're just over 14 square feet in opening, so we're still too small.
Okay.
And if we look at the orientation of the culverts, if we place them side by side, they would still be under the 16 square feet in opening, but, if you looked at going to like a 42-inch culvert, then we would meet the 16 square feet in opening if there was two. But there again, we don't have the proof to us, to the landowners, that we're not going to be backing up water or
Flooding.
displacing too much water. And that's the benefit of having that study done, is you've got the proof there for you.
And I guess that was my point, that I don't think the townships have to do a study if they're just taking a culvert and replacing it with the same culvert, a culvert that was maybe worn out, and that's what we're asking, get caught up on maintenance and stuff. We're not asking for a study. But if they're resizing, saying we have too much water, we need to do something different, then there needs to be a study in place and communication with that and planning for that. So.
All right, at this point in time, since we had a motion for discussion purposes, is there any other discussion? If not, we will take a roll to close the discussion.
Krogman,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Boersma,
Aye.
Bartley.
Aye.
Motion fails.
We probably should have had a roll call vote on the motion. Anyway, at this point in time,
That was.
we've had discussion. Is there a motion to approve this action? If there's no motion, then this just goes away. If there's a motion, then we have discussion a second time, and we can vote no or yes, yea or nay. Is there a motion to approve this? Is there a motion to approve this? Hearing none, the motion fails from no motion, or the action fails for no motion. We don't do that very often, so.
I would ask if Brian would talk to Mr. Davis and explain what we talked about here so that he understands. That would be great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's move on to item F. It's an action to automatically supplement for unanticipated expenses incurred and reimbursement made to Brookings County for reimbursement due to double payment in the amount of $2,142. Receipt number 00518169, Human Services Department, General Ledger line 101-4-441-4241. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any comments or questions? Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 8G is an action to approve a request to fill vacancy for 3 temporary election workers in the finance office. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's motion been made and seconded. Any comments or questions?
These 3 individuals we would like to hire out just to help run the absentee early voting for the general election.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item H is an action to approve a request to fill vacancy for a truck driver, a split position between the Weed and Pest and the Highway Departments. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any comments? Any comments?
Now, this is just due to the transition Jay Wolf from this position to equipment operator in the Highway Department.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 9 is our Commission Department Director's report.
The general fund surplus comparison information was included with my packet. Vicki had talked about that earlier at 30, we're at 33.63 as of July month end, which is, the 10-year average is about 28, so we're well above that. So we're in good shape there. I did include an updated agenda for the SDACC Fall Convention that's coming up September 14th and 15th down in Sioux Falls. Chris Jacobson with the association sent out an email last week that did say that this will be moving forward. So it looks like they've got most of I know the last time I think I shared this, there were a lot of different openings there, so I think it looks like they've got that mostly filled. Discuss a date for department head evaluations. We will be starting to do, with our appointed officials, to do our self-evaluations, but I'm looking to, need to set a date for those in-person reviews, and I'm looking at probably end of October, maybe first part of November. Is there anything that doesn't work? We would need kind of the better part of half a day, I think, typically. The 27th, that Tuesday, the 27th, does that work for everyone?
Of September?
October.
October?
What?
Like an afternoon after the morning commission, or?
No, the commission meeting's on the 20th. Just because of the length commission meetings tend to run, I don't know that we'd have enough time for a break and then get back and get them wrapped up before the end of the day, because I think we usually start about 8 o'clock, and then the first one starts at 8:30, and I know it's usually, 12:30, 1 before I think you wrap up, so.
27th works for me.
27th, start in the morning, and try to wrap up by 12:30. And then I did hand out a couple other things this morning. The first is some information on the Resilient Communities group that has been meeting. There is a couple of emails one from Nikki Eining and one from Darla Beal regarding this. They're doing if the commission is able, they've invited you to attend a Zoom meeting. That's on September 9th, and the information is in that second email. It's from 10:30 to noon on September 9th, this Zoom meeting, to hear what this Resilient Communities has been working on. They've set their geographical boundaries to include Brookings County as a whole. So they thought that the commission might be interested in some of the work that they've been doing, so that information is there. I also handed out information, or actually a request, an email there from Chelsea Bakken. She's the public information officer for the city. And you can see some information about the 100th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment, granting women the right to vote. I think Governor Noem has asked that cities light up a building or a landmark, and so the city is asking if you folks are okay with them lighting up the government center in purple and gold from the outside. That's their plan. If you're okay with that, I will let her know that. I see everybody kind of shaking your head yes. And then just some upcoming dates. September 7th, offices are closed due to the Labor Day holiday. I mentioned the Fall Convention coming up in September 13th through the 15th. And then I think you all have on your calendar the county tour, kind of starting at 8:30 in the morning and then we'll leave from the highway department and we'll get a tour of different county sites along the way that day. That's all I have unless you have questions for me.
Any questions? No questions? We'll have the state's attorney's office report.
Nothing new to report.
Here's the reports. We'll start with Commissioner Pierce.
On August 6th, I attended the Public Affairs meeting. On August 12th, I attended the East Brookings Business Board meeting, and they just had an interest in what we were doing and what our plans were, and we visited a little bit about that and watching the interchange project very carefully. And then last Thursday, I met with Chair Bartley and the city manager and the city attorney, and we've been working on some issues as related to the jail, as you saw in the paper yesterday.
Thank you. Commissioner Boersma.
The CDI golf tournament with everyone to my right. And the Brookings Behavioral Health and Wellness Board meeting. My almost putt.
You almost play.
A terrible golfer. It's fine. It's fine. I basically,
That almost went in.
our entrance fees were donations to, I believe, the Boys and Girls Club and Brookings County Youth Mentoring. And I joked that my donation was basically paying Commissioner Krogman for golf lessons. So, and then last night was the Brookings Behavioral Health and Wellness Board meeting. So that's it.
Commissioner Krogman.
Yeah, a little light here at the beginning of the month for me. Had attended the Beta and Brookings School District public meeting for their facility, and that I went to the noon one that was here. There also was a 6 o'clock one that I did not attend. Decent showing, not a lot of people, but a good presentation was made. And if any of you have any questions or want to see anything, let me know. We can get that to you on there. But did do a public meeting. It's a requirement of the grant application on Beta's side, and so they accomplished that on Wednesday a couple different times. Then also, again, I was at the CDI tournament. So that's it.
I attended the Conservation District meeting on the 13th. I also attended the CDI golf outing. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you. On the 4th, we had planning and zoning that night, and we took care of some of those same actions today. On the 13th, I also witnessed that putt just about go in. And then one that you forgot to mention that was about 10 feet away that you did drop, and had quite a celebration over that. So it was good event and good camaraderie with everyone. Then on Friday yesterday, or last Friday, worked with Commissioner Pierce on agreement for the city for the jail. So that completes my report. With that, is there any other correspondence? Or you covered it all, didn't you? All right, let's move into executive sessions in accordance with South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2, parentheses 1, parentheses 3, parentheses 4, parentheses 6, personnel, consulting with legal counsel and contract negotiations and security. Is there a motion to move into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We will take a 5-minute break and we'll meet in executive session.